Thank you, Madam President and members. Did not speak today in budget, and I'm only going to speak hopefully once tonight. So I'm going to use this opportunity to speak about all the budget bills and the budget in general. So this is the 12th budget for my tenure and my last. I know my colleague that just got an esteemed award is her last budget as well. But I want to just start by maybe giving you a little bit of history of why I came to the legislature. I came because in 1929, my grandfather came to California during the Great Depression, a real depression where people were standing in line looking for food and looking for a job. He came from Idaho. He was one of 12 kids and looked for a job. He couldn't find any work in Los Angeles, but he ended up north and found out that in Siskiyou County, they were giving out land grants to veterans, and he put his name in a pickle jar. And they drew his name out, and he got an 80-acre homestead in Siskiyou County in Tule Lake, California. He paid his taxes for 5 years. He built a one-room house on there and moved his family from Idaho out to California. And that started the Dahle farm 94 years ago here in California, a small business. And with his 7 kids, my dad was the youngest of the 7, was able to pick up some land in Lassen County where my wife and I were fortunate enough to buy that from my mom and dad. And I run that small business today. It's a generational thing. It's a farm that is organic. It's a farm that is dealing with a lot of things that happen here in California. And when I was in the assembly, I shared with the assembly members that California is unique to no other place. It is the greatest place on the planet. And why is that? Because we have the Pacific Ocean, we have the Sierras, the storms come in, it dumps snow in the Sierras, we have the fertile valley soils, it's the greatest farming place in the world, and we have the greatest people. We have entrepreneurs, and we have the gold rush, and we have movies, and we have the tech industry, and there's nothing, and just what the governor said in his State of the State last night about how great California, it is great. But I want to talk about the challenges as a small business. That's what I want to talk about in this budget, members. If you're a convenience store owner, or you're a landscape company, or you're a salon owner, or you're a family farm or a small business like me, you're faced with a lot of really tough challenges. We had the 60-hour work week for agriculture when I was in the assembly. They passed a law that said we could not use that anymore, and I was called a slave owner because I have farm workers on my farm. There are no slaves in California. You have the right to leave your job anytime, and I want to thank my employees who are awesome, who work for me. In business, you have to know that you have to have great employees. You're only as good as your employees are, but this legislature tends to get in between me and my employees a lot. So I want to give my talk on the small business in California that are being affected by the legislature. Now, I watched the State of the State last night, and the governor said that if you don't believe in the policies that he puts out, that you're a hater of California. The word hate was in his speech. I actually printed it off and highlighted it. In my home, when I was growing up, we couldn't use that word hate because hate is a strong word. And I don't allow my kids to use that word because it is really strong. And so I take offense to somebody calling somebody else hateful when they just disagree with some policies. Now, I'd like to talk to the budget and what it happens to do to my small business. During the COVID crisis, California gave unemployment out. And unemployment is paid into by employers for the workers, so when they're unemployed, they actually get unemployment. But California didn't do a very good job. They had problems in 2008 when we had the first crisis, but we didn't fix those crises, and we put out billions of dollars to people in prison. And people fraudulently got $18 to $20 billion worth of unemployment benefits they didn't pay. This budget does one thing. It pays the interest to the federal government because we borrowed that money from the federal government. And all of us who have employees, which I know there are 2 of at least on this floor. I know my good friend to my left here has employees and I have employees. We're going to pay that debt back. We didn't give the money to people in jail. We didn't cause the problem. That's something I hate. I hate to have to pay for something that I didn't do. This legislature passed a $20 minimum wage for fast food restaurants. And you might wonder, how does that impact my local farm? Well, because it sets the bar at $20. Why would you want to work for $15 or $18 an hour when you can work for $20 at a fast food restaurant? So it moves it up for everybody. That impacts small businesses in California. This budget also takes away the net operating loss, really critical for agriculture. Why? Because we have swings when the rains come or don't come, and when the commodity markets are up and down. Some years we make, some years we don't, and we're able to smooth that net operating loss over time. That's a deduction that I don't have now. So it's a tax on my business to the tune of $15 billion it's going to cost California businesses. We have the California Air Resources Board regulating, enforcing businesses to transition to electric vehicles, taxes, fees, insurance, liability, reporting, and just general cost. And I brought up, members, in the last time when we did the two-party deal about the businesses that are leaving California. See, I'm not going to leave. Even no matter how hard it is to run a business here. My grandfather got a piece of land. I've had the opportunity to live in one of the greatest states in the nation. And I'm not going to leave my kids on the hook, nor yours. The next generation needs some stability when it comes to business. Businesses pay the taxes before you can do anything else in government. I love California. And I just would hope that someday this legislature would take a look at the small businesses. We're out there, we're struggling. We don't have a giant lobby to lobby. We're not unionized. Nobody really represents me in this legislature but me. I hear from my neighbors all the time that just want to stay on their farms. And I just want to say, in closing, that I've been always try to talk to the issues and never make it personal. It was one of my goals is to share the story, because at the end of the day, it's just what we heard about, Speaker Willie Brown. Politics is about relationships. So this is my last budget, and I just want to remind folks that I am standing up and I am pushing back. It doesn't mean that I hate California or that I'm slamming California. It means that I want to stay here. And I want my kids, your kids, and the next generation to have an opportunity to have that small business here in California. So I just want to close with saying, cut us some slack. Help us out. Regulations and the things that happen in this legislature hurt, and it hurts the next generation. So for those reasons, I won't be voting. I'm going to be voting no on most of these budgets, but there is a couple I'm going to vote for. But I want to tell the story, because California is an awesome state. We need to take a look at what we're doing to businesses, because they're the backbone, and the small business especially. Thank you, members, for enduring this talk with me, and it's been a pleasure to work on 12 budgets with you over the time.